In recent years, buffalo farming in Canada has grown into a multi-million-dollar industry, with some farmers making huge profits from the increased demand for buffalo meat, buffalo milk, and byproducts. Today, let's explore the success stories of some Canadian farmers who have turned their buffalo farms into thriving businesses and successfully become millionaires. How Canadian farmer became millionaire thanks to buffalo farm. Canada was once known for its cattle and pig farming, but gradually many people turned to buffalo farming. One of the most successful pioneers was McClintock, who transformed his family farm into a thriving and profitable buffalo dairy operation. In 2012, Sandra McClintock, drawing on her agricultural background and experience, introduced water buffalo to her family farm in the Comox Valley on Vancouver Island. Despite initial challenges, including adapting to the unique behavior of water buffalo and establishing a market for buffalo milk products, Sandra McClintock's farm has become one of the few farms in Canada specializing in this area. Today, McClintock Farms is recognized for its innovative approach and contribution to diversifying Canada's dairy industry. So what does Sandra McClintock need to do to develop and expand this buffalo farm? Sandra started with just a few buffalo on a small scale, focusing on breeding healthy animals and expanding her herd. Over time, Sandra's herd grew to hundreds of buffalo across thousands of acres. She also gradually invested in modern farming techniques to improve the quality of her livestock and meat. As consumer demand grew, Sandra McClintock's farm expanded further and spurred other farms to grow, contributing significantly to Canada's diverse economy. Today, raising buffalo for milk and meat production has become a growing industry in Canada, as the environment and climate have become favorable conditions for buffalo to thrive. In fact, buffalo are well adapted to Canada's cold winters and hot summers. Unlike other livestock, they require less medical care and can thrive in open grazing. Feeding buffaloes is also simpler than other livestock, mainly from hay or grain. However, when buffaloes are in the reproductive period, they need to be fed more grain. Clean water also needs to be provided daily so that buffaloes can quench their thirst. Each buffalo needs to drink 30 to 40 liters of water per day. Therefore, farm owners need to provide buffaloes with enough water every day. Buffaloes have better resistance than cows, so they are extremely resistant to diseases such as lameness, mastitis, and pink eye, which are common diseases in cattle, but are almost unknown in water buffaloes. In addition, some other diseases that are common in cows do not occur in water buffaloes, proving that this animal has a very high resistance, and farm owners rarely have to call a veterinarian to treat them. Buffaloes reach maturity after 36 months of raising, a longer period than other livestock species, but their meat yield and quality are higher. When they reach slaughter standards, they are transported to processing plants for processing into meat products. In processing plants, the buffalo slaughtering process is similar to that of cattle. They are hung on hangers and undergo skinning, viscera removal and meat cutting. After processing, the buffalo meat is kept in cold storage for 72 hours to remove odor and improve meat quality. Finally, the meat is cut into different parts and packaged for distribution to grocery stores. In recent years, Canadian consumers' growing interest in leaner, healthier meats and unique dairy products has opened up new avenues for buffalo farmers. According to many studies, buffalo meat has higher nutritional and mineral value than many other red meats, and is recommended by nutritionists. Water buffalo meat is considered lean and has less than half the total fat content of lean beef and has a correspondingly lower saturated fat ratio than beef. Buffalo meat is not only sweeter and more flavorful than high-quality beef, but is also more nutritious. Buffalo meat adds about 69% more iron to your diet than beef. It also has a higher vitamin and mineral content, twice as much as other red meats. In addition to making a fortune from buffalo meat, buffalo farmers in Canada also profit from the sale of buffalo milk. This milk is relatively new to Canada, but because it is richer in fat, protein and essential nutrients than cow's milk, it is popular for making dairy products such as cheese, butter, and yogurt.
For farmers in Southeast Asia, toads are a nutritious and expensive delicacy. However, in Australia, they are considered an invasive species that must be eradicated. So, why don't Australians turn invasive toads into a valuable food item to make it easier to control them? Let's find out in this video. Cane toads were introduced to Australia in 1935 from Hawaii to control sugarcane pests, but due to favorable climate, the toad population grew rapidly. Over the past decade, cane toads have become one of the most destructive invasive species in Australia. Since their introduction, cane toads have spread throughout northern Australia, including Queensland, the Northern Territory, and parts of Western Australia and New South Wales. They continue to expand their range and spread at an estimated rate of 40 to 60 kilometers per year. To control this pest, Australian authorities have issued many measures to control them. One of the measures to control cane toads is to use traps. This is the most common method used by both professionals and community groups to kidnap sugarcane. Because traps can catch large numbers of cane toads in the wild, trapping toads is usually done at night because this is the time they are mainly active. Some hunters also use guns to hunt toads. Sounds unbelievable, right? This is completely true in Australia, but only a few hunters use this method because it is quite expensive, so it is not very popular. Although killing toads with guns is not easy, professional hunters can easily take down toads with just one shot. Trapping and cane toad capture are direct methods of control, often involving the large Australian farming community. Volunteers go out at night with lights and capture cane toads by hand. Once collected, the toads are humanely disposed of in accordance with animal welfare standards. So, what effects do cane toads have on agriculture and the livestock industry in Australia? Although cane toads were originally introduced to control agricultural pests, they have also become a pest. Cane toads do not significantly reduce insect populations, but instead cause problems for livestock, especially if animals come into contact with the toads or their toxins. In particular, livestock and poultry are also negatively affected by toad populations. Not only that, toads also affect feed storage areas, causing large amounts of livestock or poultry feed to spoil, causing a direct impact on the farm owner's economy. Cane toads eat a variety of insects and small animals, causing a decline in the food source for native species and disrupting local ecosystems. Cane toads secrete a potent toxin from their parotid glands that can be fatal to animals that attempt to eat them. Many native Australian predators such as snakes, lizards, birds, and even crocodiles have died after eating cane toads, leading to a decline in their populations. While cane toads are not a direct threat to human health, their toxins can harm pets and children who come into contact with them. Due to the above threats, cane toads are believed to have impacted indigenous communities, especially those who rely on hunting native wildlife for food and cultural practices. Measures to reduce cane toads have been applied by Australian farmers for nearly a decade, but have not really eliminated this species. Because cane toads are extremely difficult to eradicate due to their high reproductive rates, on average female toads can lay up to 30,000 eggs at a time, and in particular, they have the ability to adapt to many different environments. Therefore, the problem of controlling cane toads has become increasingly complicated and difficult. So, why don't Australians eat toads to reduce invasion? The main reason is that cane toads have toxins similar to pufferfish. This amphibian secretes a very strong toxin called bufotoxin, which is secreted from the salivary glands behind the eyes. This toxin can cause serious illness or death in most animals, including humans, if ingested. This poison affects the heart and can lead to cardiac arrest, making the consumption of cane toads extremely dangerous. Because of their toxicity, Australians do not dare to eat them. But, in contrast to Australians, toads are a favorable dish of Vietnamese people and some Southeast Asian regions. Vietnamese farmers are very skillful in processing toads. They know how to remove the toxins and process them into delicious dishes. Vietnamese people have eaten toad meat for decades. This is a quite expensive dish and is considered a specialty in many regions. Even the number of toads in the wild has decreased sharply because they are used as food. According to research, toad meat contains higher amounts of protein and zinc than other types of meat such as beef and pork. So, it is used to improve the health of people and children with rickets, malnutrition, and slow growth. Specifically, in 100 grams of toad meat, there are 55.4 grams of protein and 65 milligrams of zinc. However, to prepare toads into a dish, the processors need to have experience in preparing them because they are no different from the Japanese pufferfish dish. The toad's internal organs and skin are carefully removed to avoid harm to health. If Australians knew how to process toad meat, surely they would not have become an invasive species, right? Our video today is over. How do you feel about the video? Please leave a like button, subscribe, and comment to support our channel. And now, have you ever seen a sea snail that looks like a snail? It is a common snail in Southeast Asia, especially in Vietnam. It has a special scent, so it is often called Babylonia areolata. This snail is considered a delicacy in many Asian regions. Due to high demand, in Vietnam, the Babylonia areolata farming and processing industry has strongly developed. So, right now, let's explore with us the largest Babylonia areolata farm in Vietnam to see how fishermen make money from them. In nature, Babylonia areolata is commonly found in tropical waters throughout the Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. However, the largest numbers are concentrated in Southeast Asia and are mainly farmed in coastal provinces of Vietnam such as Ninh Thuan, Thanh Hoa, and Binh Thuan. Unlike wild-caught snails, Babylonia areolata are raised in controlled environments, in outdoor ponds or concrete tanks. Farmers can adjust the amount of water, salinity, and temperature to ensure healthy growth of Babylonia areolata and high quality. Since the snails are sensitive to water quality, farmers must maintain a stable, high-quality water environment. Water must be filtered regularly and oxygen levels maintained at optimal levels. In order for Babylonia areolata to reach standard proportions, they need to be trained in hatcheries where larvae are produced and then raised in nurseries until they reach a certain size before being transported to commercial farms. Feed for Babylonia areolata is also relatively simple and can be found locally. The feed provided is mainly organic detritus, algae, and organic matter. In addition, farmers also provide additional feed sources such as fish meal or other seafood byproducts to support growth. Only provide enough feed because excess feed can easily pollute the tank, leading to Babylonia areolata infection. To minimize risks, farmers need to monitor and prevent diseases regularly by checking water quality and snail health. They are raised for 6 to 8 months and are ready to harvest, at which point farmers use simple nets to harvest them. Babylonia areolata has a high price on the market, helping farmers have a stable income. Many small-scale farms have gradually shifted to large-scale and earned high profits thanks to domestic consumption and export demand. Every year, Vietnam exports hundreds of tons of Babylonia areolata to Asian countries such as Japan, China, and South Korea. Thanks to the controlled environment, farmers can cultivate Babylonia areolata all year round, ensuring a stable supply and meeting market demand. A fixed export market also creates a stable income for rural communities. Currently, coastal provinces in Vietnam harvest hundreds of tons of Babylonia areolata each year. This snail species has a very high yield. A longtime Babylonia areolata farmer said that each hectare can yield 50 tons of Babylonia areolata. The selling price ranges from $10 to $20 per kilogram. Therefore, provinces that raise large Babylonia areolata can harvest millions of dollars each year, promoting the economic development of the region. In Asia in general, and Vietnam in particular, the consumption of snail meat has existed for a long time. Babylonia areolata is often transported and consumed fresh to seafood shops and stores. If you travel to Vietnam, you can easily find snail restaurants and enjoy dishes made from Babylonia areolata, especially the popular snail restaurants or sidewalk eateries, because Babylonia areolata can be consumed from luxury to popular restaurants. Exported Babylonia areolata are also processed and packaged in factories to extend their shelf life. At the factory, Babylonia areolata is cleaned to remove sand and mucus, then packed by weight and quickly frozen. Some facilities only process the meat. Each Babylonia areolata is carefully removed from the shell. Their meat can be cooked and quickly frozen, ensuring that the quality does not deteriorate during long-term transportation. If you have ever enjoyed Babylonia areolata, do you know why they are called Babylonia areolata? Babylonia areolata is named after the smell of the snail. Even when fresh, this snail has a natural aroma and is more attractive when cooked. Therefore, Babylonia areolata is also known as the Queen of Snails. Babylonia areolata meat is not only delicious, chewy, and sweet, it also contains a large amount of vitamins and minerals necessary for the human body. Babylonia areolata meat and intestines are also rich in nutrients such as protein, calcium, iron, and potassium, in addition to many different vitamins known to strengthen the body's immune system and effectively protect health. Therefore, this type of snail is considered a nutritious food for the elderly, children, and pregnant women. In recent years, the United States has been having a headache with newly introduced invasive species, of which hairy crabs are one of the fastest spreading species in swamp areas. While Americans are launching a movement to control hairy crabs, a part of Chinese residents also want to come to the US to help their country destroy this invasive species. Today, join us to explore the role of hairy crabs in America and China. Thousands of years ago, the field crab farming industry developed in China. They were considered one of the dishes for aristocrats and landlord families. To this day, the Suzhou and Songjiang areas have become the most famous freshwater crab production areas, inseparable from the development of lakes and fields. The cost of each hairy crab can be up to 60 yuan, about $10 each, and depends on the season. Because the weather in regions changes with the seasons, it is difficult for the hairy crab farming industry to raise it all year round, so out-of-season hairy crabs will be more expensive. Hairy crab farming is an important industry in some parts of China, especially around Yangcheng Lake, which is famous for producing some of the most prized varieties of hairy crab. The brand value of hairy crab in China reaches more than $20 billion every year. However, the number of crabs is still not enough to serve demand because the consumption is very large. Demand for hairy crabs is so high that they are often ordered weeks in advance during peak season. Popularity extends beyond China, with exports to other countries with large Chinese communities. Hairy crabs are usually the size of a palm. They are larger than some other crab species and have more delicious meat quality. The crab farming and processing industry in China also helps create jobs and economic growth for millions of people in China. In short, Hairy crab is not just a seafood species, it is also a hallmark of culinary tradition and a luxury dish of considerable social and economic importance. Despite its economic and social importance in China, when introduced to the US, hairy crabs are considered one of the species that negatively affects the aquaculture industry in the US. Chinese hairy crabs were first developed in the San Francisco Bay Area in the early 1990s. They have since spread to many rivers and estuaries along the west coast and have also been discovered in the Great Lakes and Mississippi River region. In areas where hairy crabs are abundant, their burrowing can damage irrigation systems, affecting agricultural productivity and increasing maintenance costs. Additionally, crabs can become entangled in fishing gear such as nets and traps, which can reduce the effectiveness of commercial and recreational fisheries. In some cases, fishermen have reported significant losses due to damage to fishing gear caused by hairy crabs. In addition to affecting agriculture, hairy crabs also compete with other native species because they are opportunistic feeders, consuming a variety of plants and animals. They compete with native species such as fish and other crustaceans for food and habitat, potentially leading to declines in native populations. In some cases, Chinese hairy crabs may prey on endangered or threatened species, further exacerbating their decline. In recent years, the United States has taken measures to prevent the number and population of hairy crabs, but it is difficult to eradicate due to the species' very high reproductive rate, diverse diet, and ability to survive in many different environments. Efforts to control hairy crab populations have had only limited success. In response to the invasive threat, the United States has implemented regulations prohibiting the importation, transportation, and possession of live Chinese hairy crabs. Enforcement of these regulations is critical to prevent new introductions and limit the spread of existing populations. Faced with that situation, thousands of Chinese people have offered to come to America to help them destroy hairy crabs, and they were also very surprised when in their country, hairy crabs were very expensive and popular, but in America, they could only be thrown away. So, why don't Americans eat hairy crabs? In a long tradition, Americans do not eat hairy crabs, so the demand for hairy crabs among American consumers is very low. They tend to prefer other types of seafood. Without strong consumer interest, suppliers will not have much incentive to introduce hairy crab to the market. In addition, wild catches can accumulate contaminants such as heavy metals, pesticides, or other contaminants, especially in areas where they are invasive. This raises food safety concerns, making them a less attractive choice for consumption. Besides, hairy crabs have also been studied to contain parasites that are harmful to human health. Therefore, the vast majority of Americans do not eat hairy crab. There is no denying that Chinese farmers are incredibly creative in turning invasive crayfish into a valuable livestock industry, especially when they develop a crayfish farming system combined with rice fields, bringing great benefits to local farmers. Now, let's explore the crayfish farm combined with rice cultivation with us. Previously, Chinese farmers believed that crayfish could not be raised in rice fields because they would eat rice plants, damage the soil, and dig holes in dams, causing water to flow out of the fields and harm the rice plants. Furthermore, crayfish are an invasive species originally from America, so Chinese farmers hated them. But, with extraordinary creativity, they have turned this pest into a species of high economic value. Currently, the value of crayfish in China is estimated at tens of thousands of billions of dong. And it must be said that crayfish has revolutionized traditional agriculture in China, especially in regions such as Hubei, Anhui, and Jiangsu. The total output of these provinces reaches more than 2 million tons per year. Crayfish and rice farmers said that each mu of rice field can produce more than 150 kilograms of crayfish and 500 kilograms of organic rice. And the average income per mu can reach 4,000 to 5,000 yuan, equivalent to more than $600. Each farmer owns dozens to hundreds of mu of rice fields, so their income per crop can reach hundreds of thousands of $, which is a dream number for most ordinary workers in China. So, how do Chinese farmers cultivate and maximize profits from this combined model? For maximum efficiency, farmers design small canals around their rice fields to provide an environment for crayfish during the dry season. These crayfish cannot survive without water, so it is necessary to maintain the appropriate water level to ensure optimal conditions for both the rice and crayfish. Farmers release the crayfish into the rice fields after transplanting the seedlings, creating a natural habitat for the crayfish, which thrives alongside the rice plants. The crayfish species commonly farmed in conjunction with rice cultivation is the red crayfish, which is commonly farmed in China and some states of the US due to its adaptability to market demand. Crayfish are released into the field at about 60 kilograms of crayfish larvae, allowing them to breed and avoid competition for food. Farmers often grow rice varieties that synchronize with the life cycle of crayfish to make harvesting easier. During growth and development, crayfish often eat organisms that are harmful to rice plants and weeds. However, farmers can supplement foods such as pureed snails or soybeans for optimal growth. The system of combining crayfish farming with rice fields brings many great benefits to agricultural production. Crayfish can help eliminate weeds and pests, limit chemical fertilizers and pesticides in rice fields. The principle of crayfish farming in rice fields is never to use pesticides when possible, to ensure the safety of farmed crayfish, thereby also producing organic rice, which has a high price in the market. Raising crayfish in rice fields helps increase annual rice yields. Typically, the symbiosis between crayfish and rice can increase rice yields by 5 to 10%. Crayfish also grow very quickly. Farmers harvest after about 60 to 80 days from the time of releasing the crayfish. Usually, harvesting uses crayfish pots or net cages to catch them, which helps to be more effective. You can also use nets to catch crayfish in ditches, and finally, drain all the water in the field before harvesting the rice to harvest all the remaining crayfish. After being harvested, crayfish are transported to places of consumption such as markets or restaurants. Some are transported to processing plants to be frozen or cooked for packaging. Processing plants produce thousands of boxes of crayfish every day to supply the domestic market. Crayfish is now very popular in China, often sold at street food stalls to ordinary shops, suitable for the budget of Chinese people. Many processing plants export their products abroad, mainly to the European and American markets. According to reports, crayfish exports in recent years have reached 9,000 to 10,000 tons, generating revenue of more than $100 million US. The higher the consumption capacity, the more profit crayfish farmers can earn in combination with rice. Not only in China, Louisiana in the US also develops the industry of raising crayfish in rice fields, but is mainly popular in some neighboring states. It is a nutritious and healthy source of protein. We have just watched Chinese farmers earn millions of yuan by raising crayfish in rice fields. How do you feel? Leave your comments below to let us know. Surely we all know that pests and diseases are the direct cause of agricultural decline. That has also been a fear for soybean farmers in China for thousands of years. The finger-sized green worms were once the #1 enemy of soybean farmers, but now they are one of the farmers' sources of economic income. So, how has this pest made farmers rich? Please explore with us now. Just a few years ago, soybean farmers in Sichuan, Shandong, and Jiangsu provinces were still afraid of pests and diseases severely affecting bean harvest yields. They even lost all of their harvest because of this harmful bean worm. At that time, no one could have thought that this harmful pest could bring in economic resources worth millions of yuan, until they discovered that bean worms could be eaten. Perhaps up to now, there are still many soybean farmers who still cannot believe that they have made a lot of money from these green worms. They are sold for more than 100 yuan per pound. Their price increases every year, and at times, the cost reaches 180 yuan per pound. Not only that, many farmers in some areas have even become rich by raising beanworms. Soybean farmers in Shandong and Jiangsu consider beanworms to have high economic value and are a regional specialty. They are used to prepare delicious dishes such as roasted beanworms, fried beanworms. In recent years, when human demand for food from green insects has increased, the nutritional value of beanworms has also been discovered very well. Rich in protein, essential amino acids, and essential fatty acids. Because the high nutritional value makes the demand for beanworms increase rapidly, many farmers have realized that at times, beanworms bring higher profits than soybeans. So they have turned to growing beans to worm farming. From there, a worm farming industry was formed in some rural areas of China. To raise beanworms successfully and with high productivity, farmers need to choose areas with suitable locations for them to grow, with adequate lighting, good ventilation, and favorable drainage conditions. At the same time, make sure there are no sources of pollution around. Choose bean insect varieties that are suitable for the local environment, grow quickly and lay many eggs, and have strong disease resistance. If environmental conditions are suitable for beanworms, it will help them grow extremely quickly and bring great profits to farmers. Raising beanworms in the provinces is even more profitable than raising livestock such as cows and pigs, because it does not require raising costs and is more expensive. The main food of beanworms is bean leaves, bean pods, and other legumes. Therefore, Chinese farmers can save a large part of animal feed costs. During the breeding process, it is necessary to ensure that bean caterpillars are provided with fresh, nutritious food and avoid mold and spoilage. At the same time, adjust the type and quantity of food appropriately according to their growth and reproductive stages. In addition, it is also necessary to monitor the health status of beanworms to prevent harmful bacteria. If a successful harvest season will help farmers reap a lot of profits. According to reports from beanworm farmers, a normal acre of bean plants can usually harvest 200 kilograms of fresh beanworms and earn a total income of 8,000 yuan, about $1,200 US. This level of income is sometimes even higher than growing and harvesting soybeans. In fact, in Liangyungang, Jiangsu, eating beanworms has become the most unique local culinary culture. Many newcomers to Jiangsu felt resistant to beanworms when they first saw them. However, after trying them a few times, many people will fall in love with this seemingly strange and fear-inducing delicacy. Today, there are many beanworm farming facilities in many places. Each year, they can produce tens of thousands of kilograms of beanworms, becoming high-quality raw materials for many high-end hotels and restaurants. A plate of pre-cooked beanworms can sell for 2,000 yuan during peak season. Thanks to its high nutritional value, beanworms are also known as bean ginseng. In addition to fresh beanworms, on the market in China, there are also canned beanworms or prepared beanworms. Consumers can easily buy beanworm products to prepare daily dishes. Bananas are one of the most popular and widely consumed fruits in the world, with billions of them harvested annually across tropical and subtropical regions. The world produces 135 million tons of bananas each year, and the value of the growing banana industry is estimated at $25 billion. Let's explore how farmers harvest and process large quantities of bananas. The banana industry is an important economic sector in countries such as Ecuador, the Philippines, India, and Central America. Banana production and export provide livelihoods for millions of workers, from smallholder farmers to large-scale plantations. Every day, farmers harvest hundreds of tons of bananas to be shipped to processing plants. Bananas are harvested while still green and unripe to ensure they survive the long journey to markets around the world. Harvesting typically takes place 8 to 10 months after planting, depending on the region and weather conditions. This process is labor-intensive, as many plantations harvest bananas by hand to avoid damaging the fruit. Harvesters use knives to cut banana bunches from the trees, being careful not to damage the fruit or surrounding trees. Each bunch can weigh up to 40 kilograms, so workers must be skilled at carrying heavy loads to the collection point. Because the bunches are heavy, each harvester also places a soft cloth or foam pad on their shoulders to avoid injuring or damaging the bananas. Large-scale plantations of hundreds of hectares often use pulleys that can harvest thousands of banana bunches per day. Harvesting bananas using a pulley is a more efficient and safer method. Workers tie heavy bunches of bananas to a rope that is threaded through a pulley mechanism. Once secured, the pulley allows the bananas to be lowered into the bin or container in a slow, controlled manner. This reduces the risk of damaging the fruit and prevents worker injury. This method of harvesting bananas increases productivity and worker safety, while ensuring high-quality yields, making it an increasingly popular method in commercial banana farming. After harvest, bananas are transported from the fields to processing facilities where they undergo sorting, washing, and packaging. Post-harvest handling is critical to ensuring that bananas maintain their quality during transport to consumer markets, which can be thousands of miles away from the plantation. At processing facilities, bananas are graded according to size, weight, and appearance. Only bananas that meet quality standards, are uniform in color, and free of blemishes are exported. Each bunch of bananas is washed to remove dirt or banana sap. The washing process also helps cool the fruit and slows down the ripening process. After washing and sorting, the bananas are packed into boxes or crates designed to protect them during transport. The boxes are carefully stacked to minimize damage during transport. The packing process is usually done by hand, although some larger facilities may use a mechanized system to assist in the operation. Bananas are also an important ingredient in the food processing industry, such as confectionery or snacks. Bananas are put into specialized machines to be sliced into thin slices and then dried or fried. Dried bananas are also popular in many regions, contributing to the diversity of the banana processing industry. Today, the banana industry operates on a massive scale, with millions of tons of bananas produced, processed, and shipped around the world each year. Countries like Ecuador are the world's largest exporters of bananas, shipping over 6 million tons annually and worth $3.68 billion. While the Philippines and India also play a major role in the global banana trade. These bananas are sold in supermarkets and local markets all over the world, from Europe and North America to Asia and Africa.